So today is the third day of module 3. We are talking about personal development, unsolved emotions, and troubleshooting. So what is that? What are we looking at? We are looking at personal development. We're looking at lifestyle choices. We are looking at unsolved trapped emotions. We're looking at conditioned belief systems, at the dark night of the soul, blind spots, lakatosis, and troubleshooting. So this may or may not mean anything to you, but we will go through all of this and then you will know what I'm talking about with all these terms. When we talk about troubleshooting, we will in particular looking at mentally impaired participants and how to deal with them. And we are looking at family secrets. Right. So starting with personal development. And that's exactly what we just talked, Saida. You can only give what you have. See what you know and find what was previously in your possession. That's just a fact. We might never really pondered on it, but you can only give what you have, right? You cannot give something that you don't have. How would you give it? So first of all, you have to have everything that you want to share, you have to have for yourself. And then you can give it to others, right? You can only see what you know. How is that possible? Because the brain works like it. It has expectations and it can literally not see things that it doesn't expect. Yeah. And in a family constellation, that is the same. If you are not trained to observe certain movement, for example, you will not see them. So you need to learn that first, and then you will know where to look for. Yeah. And you can only find what was previously in your possession, right? If you lost something, you find it. So we lose things and then we find it again, right? So that is really important that you enrich your life, that you enrich your family, that you enrich that you work with your family system first, to an extent that you feel a lot of movement and shift in there. And that you feel for yourself this freedom and happiness that you want to see in others. Thinking about what we discussed yesterday, what your greatest joy is. If you want to see this freedom and happiness in others, you have to see it in yourself first. There is no way around that. There is no shortcut. And this is why it is all for you, first and foremost. And then later on, you can share it whenever it feels right. And it will come natural to you. You don't need to worry about that a bit. And if you later on decide that you are rich and full and happy and free and you don't want to share it, then that's good too. So there's no obligation, right? You can all take it for yourself, for your loved ones, for your family system. That's all okay. Remember, you are never finished with personal development. To start to facilitate family constellation, it will always be continuously growth. Yeah. You will, till the day you die, you will grow one way or the other. But you can start to facilitate family constellation or ease into facilitating family constellation with the tools I gave you yesterday. And when you have the feeling, or when you know and you have the knowledge that your glass is full, so it can overflow. And the overflow part, that is the giving part. As long as your glass is not full yet, there's not much that can overflow and that others can participate on. And later on, of course, you just have a larger vessel or larger glass. So it gets larger and larger, the container, for more and more and more to be in there, right? So you're never finished to start. However, you need a good foundation. The foundation is set out here in this one and a half years that we are together. And then the foundation is also continues by what you do in your local area. That's the foundation. And you can build on that. As better it is built, as brighter is your future if you want to share, if you want to work with it. Knowing yourself, or also called in spiritual terms self-realization, is the way and the destiny. Yeah, it's the way to become a fantastic facilitator, and it's also the destiny if that's what you are destined to do. And first comes the self-realization, self-knowledge. And we are not talking about the highest self-realization that yoga teachers talk about, right? I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about knowing yourself. Yeah, diving deep. We are diving today together, a little bit deeper than you might have been, but you can dive deeper than that. You can dive and dive and dive deeper into the corners of your being and pull them all into light and take them all up into the light. So the ways to personal growth are, of course, keep participation in the workshop. That's important. Not only our workshop, but it could be other workshops, but keep participating if that is your way, right? If you want to evolve into a fantastic family constellation facilitator. Attending supervision workshops. I do offer supervision workshops as well. They are for trainees and practitioners that are finished. And that is where we look at cases from clients of the facilitator. Continue reading uplifting literature, of course. This is always enlightening and always gets us closer to our self-realization. Go to other retreats for personal growth, whatever you are drawn to. Maybe make it a thing to go to one retreat a year, or make your retreat at home. Take a few days off and create your own retreat, or maybe an online retreat, something that you completely immerse into your self-realization, whatever that is at that time in your case. You can also do something every day. Has anybody of you have a daily routine that happens every day? Or most of the days, doesn't need to be every day, but a routine you would call it? Yes, Eva, which would that be? You want to share?
Yeah, I have two parts. The first part is that every morning, early in the morning, I'm doing self-massage for my abdomen, lower part, and then I'm thinking about my femininity, about the things, the creativity I have, and things like that. It's like at the same time, like some kind of dialogue with myself. And then I'm moving upwards to my chest and to my face. And then I'm doing some kind of exercises and finishing with gratitude to the sun and just focusing on my breath and then going to my things. That's the way how I'm working in the mornings.
And how long does it take, your morning routine?
Like till 20 minutes, no more. Like
Good.
till 20, 30 minutes.
Yeah, that's a good time. That's a good amount of time to spend in the morning, eh? And how do you feel when you don't do your morning routine?
I feel that I'm missing something. Then I feel like, oh, what? Something I have forgotten something, something like that, the feeling.
Yeah.
And it's just a little bit messy morning then, and messy day, because I'm not centered in myself. I have the feeling that I'm not like in center of myself.
Yeah. Very good. So this morning routine makes you centered and focused. Yeah. Very good. Thank you for sharing. Anybody else want to share? Is there anything You do? Not in particular. Heba, what do you do?
For me, usually, yeah, for me, usually I have, we have like the morning prayers. They start somewhere between 4 and 5. It changes because it's depends on the sun, when the sun is rising.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so usually that after the prayers, I usually have like some religious um, routine which I do daily, and it takes somewhere around like 45 minutes up to 1 hour.
Mm-hmm.
In the evening, I usually spend 30 minutes reading and then meditation. So it also takes somewhere around 1 hour, also evening routine.
Oh, very good. It's fantastic that you can
Mm.
carve out 2 hours a day out of a busy life for yourself.
Yeah.
Very good. Fantastic. Thank you for sharing. Anybody else? Not that you have to. It's not a must.
Yeah,
Just
no,
curious.
yeah, no, I think we have to. I think it's very grounding, but with my two kids, I'm not able to, and that is not, I don't feel centered. So,
It's hard to get time for yourself anyhow if you have two small children. I mean, that's absolutely, that's what it is. Yeah. Okay. So, if you have a morning routine, whatever it is, prayer, meditation, yoga, massage, um, which is fantastic, you can also set an intention to use your morning or evening routine to stay connected with the field, right? You just need to shift your intention a little bit and include that, so that what you do for grounding practices, for center practice, or whatever, also makes you more aware of your connection with the morphogenetic field. Yeah. And it's just an intention, because intention is important, of course. And no routine really has an impact other than physical, like spiritual, without the right intention. And the intention can be pretty much everything that you can think of. So if you think, okay, now I also include in my daily routine the intention that it makes me it helps me connect to the morphogenetic field, then it will happen over time. That's for sure. Centered practices or that earth you are great to, be closer to the truth, especially if you live in a big city. I don't know how green Mumbai is. I've never been in Mumbai, Navjoti, but nothing green there. That's a pity, because it is really important that we are going out in nature and doing and connecting with nature to get out of the mind. The mind is in the city, and outside is more um, the intuition and the connectiveness and the deep breathing and so on. So if you find a way to do that regularly, that would be fantastic. If not, you can meditate on going through the nature, right? You could put on some meditation music and visualizing you're going through a forest or a rainforest or whatever you like, or watch a video. Like you can find everything online nowadays. You can probably watch a meditation where they're actually showing a video from the forest or something. Yeah. So grounding techniques are great to get you out of the mind, out of any kinds of fears or anxieties, also around um, around your, let's say, your facilitation skills, and get you back to the center, closer to the truth. That's really good. So even if you don't have a daily routine, which is of course not a requirement at all, you can routinely, not even daily, but you can make it a thing to go on forest walks like twice a week, and use the time for yourself and meditate or while walking. That's actually fantastic, just to contemplate, just to enjoy the nature. Anything can be a routine. It doesn't need to be in the morning, doesn't need to be in the night, and doesn't need to be daily neither, right? just something that you donate your time and your intention towards connectedness, to connect more with yourself, with the field, with the earth, all this. And then also personal development also means to make good lifestyle choices. Yeah. And that could be anything. I'm just, when I go through lifestyle choices, I'm just mentioning a few that I'm familiar with. That doesn't mean that you have to do these choices, right? I'm just giving you an ideas here. What is important is, when I say lifestyle choices, is that you choose. You choose, because with this training and with all the work you do for self-realization, you will change. And some habits that that became your lifestyle, if you will, may not suit you anymore. So now the awareness goes towards what is my lifestyle, and did I actually choose it? Yeah. Or if I haven't chosen it, I never thought about it, I may start now to think about it and choose something else. That's what I mean with making good lifestyle choices. So I go through the ones that I'm familiar with. Yeah. So alcohol. Do you think it's a good lifestyle choice if you are into more self-realization and personal development? What do you think?
I can share my experience that between I started and even like a couple of months before our course started, of course, sometimes like dinner or some kind of party, I had a glass of champagne or something like that, and it was okay for me. But when I, like a couple of weeks before course started, I just felt that I don't want anymore even that one glass. And it was like on 8th of March when we have this Women Day in Latvia, and we had like nice dinner, and again it was a possibility to take a glass of champagne. I felt that when I drank it, that my head like was so overwhelmed with tons of things, like from that course, from my life. I just understand that no, even that is too much for me. And from that day, yes, I totally understand the idea of that.
Wonderful. That's thank you for sharing. I had no idea that that is so immediate, can come immediate to this realization. That's brilliant. Thank you, Eva. Anybody else? Is anybody do you even drink alcohol, or if you have, no, no. So that's fantastic. I personally have chosen not to drink alcohol 10 years ago when I started my my yoga teacher training. 12 actually, doesn't matter. And I never looked back. Yeah, it has enlightened my life a lot. And I think that's a really good choice not to drink alcohol. And as you said, it is quite normal nowadays in this society to have a glass. Yeah, it's kind, that's what people do. But it's a choice. You can say, I'm happy. I drink water. I'm very happy with my choice. Yeah. How about drugs? Anybody? Any experience with drugs? Not really. Well, drugs are, of course, in line with alcohol. It's altering the mind and keeps us away from connecting to ourselves, right? So that's why it is a good lifestyle choice not to retrieve to drugs. And I'm also talking about prescriptive drugs as long as you don't need them, need them. Does anybody here has a condition that needs to take drugs? No? No. Good. Right. So then the next choice is the next time that you maybe feel a headache and you think, oh, I can have a paracetamol or something, that you maybe make the choice to drink half a liter of water instead of taking a pill, right? Things like that. So that would be also a lifestyle choice to say, I don't use drugs as long as I can have an alternative to it. Smoking, I suppose nobody smokes here. I'm just assuming. Or vaping. So good. Yeah, that's also not a good lifestyle choice, in my opinion, because it is used as a distraction. Smoking is, and I'm talking to that. I was a heavy smoker when I was young, lawyer, and when I stopped that ages ago, I felt a big difference of being able to focus and to being able to stay with one task longer. Interestingly, because this smoking is a distraction, just a distraction. It gives us something to do because we are for some reason not fulfilled with the moment. And that goes for every addiction, of course. Yeah. Oh, now this is something else, right? So we cannot, obviously, we cannot just not eat. And why we wouldn't we? We need to eat, of course, right? But the greatest impact on the health, besides the first three things, is of course food choices. Now, tell me a little bit about your food choices. As anybody here has a specific diet chosen for whatever reason, for health reason, for religious reason, for any reason?
Yeah, I mean, I eat halal only, so I don't eat anything from pigs and no alcohol and things like that. I also made a choice to kind of not eat too much meat,
Mm-hmm.
Which actually, interestingly, is an Islamic choice, but not, so for me, but it's also a choice for the world. I don't think it's that healthy for the environment either to eat meat all the time. I like fish and I like lots of vegetables.
Yeah.
Um,
And you
so
chose
yeah,
that.
I find,
Yeah.
yeah.
Mm-hmm. And how do you feel about your choice?
I enjoy it. I think
Mm-hmm.
sometimes what happens is that the kind of hustle and bustle and challenge of life and then a lack of preparedness means that I sometimes aren't as healthy as I'd like to be. But when I'm on top of it, I feel so much better.
Amazing, eh? But what food choices can do for our mental and emotional and physical health is amazing. Thank you for sharing. Anybody else wants to share? Oh, we lost Naftutia in here. She will come through again. Anybody else will want to share? What about your food choice, Eva?
Yeah, the interesting thing is that like year before, I started to notice that when I'm eating meat, like from not my not husband, my boyfriend, I don't know how to say in English, he's a hunter, and so when I'm not eating a meat which he has been hunted, then I sometimes felt very, very bad, like the meat from, for example, supermarket or stuff like that. I started to feel like the fear of the animal. I really felt that feeling. And now I'm just like sometimes eating meat, but very rare. And that who he has been like taken from the woods, because I know the way how he hunts, and it's more or less the animal doesn't know when it happens. So you don't feel the fear in the meat. It's like he or she was eating the grass and then suddenly it happened. So it's totally big difference when you are eating that kind of meat and when you are eating meat from the supermarket. So we are eating meat very rare, but when we are eating like that kind of meat and fish, we really love fish. So it's the most the food I'm eating like in my daily routine. But other things like vegetables and fruits, that's the main part.
Is your main part, right? Very good.
Mhm.
Interesting how you can resonate with this energy that is in the food, right? It's because the plants and especially the fruits, they are happy to be eaten. They are meant to be eaten, right? The tree throws the fruits at you and say, "Eat me, eat me, eat me." So you can take the seeds and poop it out somewhere else. And I grow a new tree there. So that's the strategy of nature. Just eat me, eat me, eat me, eat me. No, that's really, really good. And the vegetables as well. Eat me, I grow new ones. Eat me, I just grow new ones. I just grow new ones. Yeah. But then with the animals, obviously, that's the opposite, right? They don't want to be eaten. They run away. They are in distress. They're, of course, we're not going into farming. I'm probably going to cry when I think about that, meat farming. So that's so as far as you want to go, as long as it's a choice, as long as you choose, okay, I choose to do this because you don't have to talk to anybody else than yourself. Why you choose to do this or not, or this one. That's what it's real choice is about, and real freedom is about, that you can choose. You can say, okay, I can have everything that's in the supermarket, but I choose not to buy this, I choose not to buy that, not choose not to buy that, right? And that is also very important for personal development, that you are making choices for yourself. You don't need to talk to anybody about it. It's your choice. Daily routine, we talked about that. And what else do we have? Of course, you have maybe prayers already integrated, or meditation. There's also chanting, yoga practice. There's lots of others that I'm not familiar with. That are great to integrate in, not even daily, just in your life as something that you're looking forward to, and always set the intention that it grounds you more, connects you more with your true self, connects you more with the earth, connects you more with your ancestors, connects you more with the field. These are good intention, because you do it for yourself, and you do it also for others. Yeah. So we will talk in module 4 a lot about higher vibrating emotions like compassion, for example, and all these things. And that has a big impact on personal development. Absolutely. Okay. Exercise. I was just thinking, do we have an exercise here? No, I'm talking about physical exercising here. So let me ask you a question. Who has a sport here, or does anything wholeheartedly in terms of physical activity? Is there anything? What do you do, Eva?
Yeah, as I'm physiotherapist, I think that clients and patients need to see that I'm totally in my profession, and like doing some kind of stuff, but looking myself like I can't do anything, any kind of exercises. So 4 times per week I have group sessions, then I'm working also doing exercises. Then I really enjoy hiking and long walks, so I try even 15 minutes if the day is really busy, even 15 minutes to take a good walk, like very fast path, so that my heart is beating pretty fast. And also during holidays I try to go for longer walks, or try to work even more physically, like in my house, doing really good stuff in my garden. So it's also some kind of exercises. So a lot of like scheduled exercises, but also like exercises that I'm enjoying, as I mentioned, in garden, in forest, or something like that.
That's great. Physical activities, feeling your body, using the muscles that you have. That's really, really important. Anybody else wants to share? So just be aware, what Eva just said is very true. Just a walk, a brisk walk, 15 minutes a day is already a good exercise. It's already very, very healthy, and gets you out of the mind as well, right? And more grounded. Reading nowadays is actually becoming a choice, because there's so many distractions, and you don't need to read anymore. Most of the school kids don't want to read anymore. They get everything in form of videos. Now, every kind of information in form of a video now. Even historic information you can find on YouTube videos about. So they just don't read anymore a lot. I don't know what
Even
you
the
think
books,
about
we
it.
have the audiobook, so you don't even you can just listen to the books now.
Yeah, Audible, and it's just what it is. I mean, life, time's moving on. I mean, this is just a new thing to do, but There is
For
something
me, I
about,
still enjoy having the book, the physical book, and read
isn't
it. I
it?
mean,
Yeah.
yeah, I drive a lot, so I still use Audible a lot when I'm driving around, and listen to books on Audible, but I still do get physical books and read in the evening like a proper book. I don't even like the Kindle thing.
Mm. Isn't there something really magical about having a book and
Yeah,
turning pages? And
and spinning the pages.
I think so too. What are you reading, Eva? What topics are
Uh,
reading?
Different things. So um, I sometimes I read novels and sometimes I read just personal development books. Last thing I was reading was an Arabic just light novel, and now I'm reading a book about prosperity. Let me see, maybe I can find it.
Yeah, yeah, show it to us. Great.
So this is what I'm reading
Oh, of
now.
course. Aha, here we go. Acknowledging what is. And the
Yeah.
dynamic law of prosperity. Interesting.
I'm
Very
not
good.
I'm not considering this like a reading part because I'm doing it like part of our work with you. So I'm considering
Yeah,
this like study time. But this is I'm doing as the evening reading.
yeah. Very interesting. Thank you. Thank you
Yeah.
for sharing. Anybody else want to share what you read at the moment?
Yeah, I love reading. I easily spend an hour a day reading like books, and so I have Audible as well. So when I'm out, like if I'm traveling somewhere or going shopping or something, I try and listen to something like books, not just music or podcasts or something.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and interestingly, the conversation that I mentioned about someone asking me about family constellations was because I was reading a book on systemic coaching.
Ah,
So yeah, so I'm reading that. I think I have about 3 or 4 books on the go at the moment. I've got the Acknowledge What Is. There's a Piero Ferrucci book somewhere in there as well. Um, yeah, I sometimes I think that my superpower and Achilles heel actually is reading.
so you can read several books at the same time, more or less.
Yeah, yeah.
Fantastic. Fantastic. Yeah, absolutely fantastic. And you, Navjoti?
Yeah, I'm reading the book from your list, but your body is your mobile home.
Ah,
Malcolm.
from Malcolm Southwood. What do you think about that?
Yeah. Excellent, because he starts with how the birds are, and both my children were cesarean, and I was not happy. I fought hard to have a natural birth, but in Mumbai, you're lucky if you can get one. The doctors, they work according to their appointments. So I lost that fight, both for C-section. So the first few chapters are all about that.
Uh-huh.
So it speaks to me very strongly.
Mm-hmm.
So, but
Great.
luckily I found the book, so I know what to do now with the kids.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Fantastic.
Yeah. And some time ago, before I found you online, I was trying to study family constellation on my own. So I just finished Bertold Ulzamer's book on family constellation.
Which book?
So, Bertold Ulzamer.
Bertolt Ulzamer. Yeah.
Yeah, so he's written a book on family constellation.
Yeah.
So I had just finished
I
that.
think that's on the list too, right?
Yeah, it is. It's wonderful.
It's on the list too, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Great. Thank you for sharing.
Yeah, I like to read as well.
Yeah. So keep that going. Luckily, we are still a generation where we love to read. I don't know what's about the next one, but then they will get their information and their passion from something else. I'm sure about that.
If I may, interestingly, my daughter loves reading. Like she's 18 now, and when she was 13, she was reading Agatha Christie novels, and I was just amazed.
Really? Oh, wow. Oh, God. Yeah, that's wonderful. I do remember when I was young that books were my go-to retreat. I don't know. I couldn't wait to come home and retreat to my books. So yeah, my son does the same with his computer games now.
Don't worry, my son is exactly the same. He's the
Yeah,
opposite. He
yeah,
hates reading.
exactly, exactly. Nothing you can do. It's just what it is. Okay, connecting with nature, we talked about that, a very important part. So when you can do it, do it. Make it also a lifestyle choice. There is this wonderful Japanese word. There is actually a thing in Japan that is called it's a Japanese word, and it's translated into English. It's forest bathing. So I've been told a Japanese family is going once a week, because you know they live in Tokyo as well, in the big city. They are traveling on the metro or something out once a week, the whole family, for forest bathing, they call it. They go in the forest, they take a bath, they walk there an hour or two, and then they go home. And that's the thing you do apparently in Japan, right? And as always, Japanese have a tradition in good lifestyle choices, and they are also one of the long-lived cultures. They have the longest life expectancy in certain areas, and that has certainly something to do with that as well. Animals. What do you think about animals? Do they play a role in your life? Anybody? Yeah, tell me about your animal.
I used to have 2 cats. Lucy passed away last year, so I still do have Misha.
And what
I love
part does
cats.
they? What part do they play in your life?
I enjoy having her in my lap. I miss her when I have to go away like a couple of days in Dubai for work. Whenever I'm here, she just keeps sitting in my lap, eating with me. And I barely keep her out of the room for the session now.
I see. Anybody
Yeah.
else? What do you think about animals? What role do they play in your life?
I think that the role for them is really big, because it's also the way how can we take care about a part of nature. I remember even when I was really small girl, I rescued cats. I often found some kind of cat without home, and then I took them to home and raised up and things like that. And of course, my parents weren't so happy when the number of cats stayed a bit bigger. But even now, I have my cat, and I have rescued him. He's like pretty old already. And for example, yesterday I have 2 homes. I live in 2 different cities, and he is living in this home when I'm at the moment. And I saw in my camera that he had a fight with another cat who is coming from the town, and he's very bully and stuff like that. And you know, I really felt like I will resolve this situation. I called the lady who owns this cat, and I said, no, the things will go bad if you will continue like that. So we are really taking care about them like a part of family, and I think it's beautiful if we have.
Yeah, I think that the key element is here to take care. I think that's the key, right? We have animals in our life to take care of them. Yeah. Because we have this caring side in us, and we want to exercise it. We want to use it. We want to bring it out, right? And this caring side that we show towards animals is easier, or let's put it the other way, to show the caring side of us towards animals is easier than to other people. Right? We all agree on that, I suppose, yeah? And this is why it's important to start with animals, to care for them and develop compassion, and then expand it towards people, especially those you normally wouldn't care about. Random people, neighbors or bosses or people that are not necessarily friends with you. Yeah. So you can expand this compassion and this urge to care further. And I think the animals are showing us the way to do that. And this is lovely, very lovely. Anybody else has a pet? How about you, Navjoti and Saida? Navjoti, no, you have 2 children, you have enough to do. Yeah. And you, Saida?
Yeah, we have a cat, and it's interesting. I think the cat actually can pick up on emotions.
Mhm.
And so, like, for example, if one of my kids is sick, or if they're upset about something, I mean, actually, even us, the cat will just come and it will just sit, and it's just it knows when to provide comfort, you know.
Yeah.
And it's amazing, actually. Sometimes we all pray together, and when we do, the cat comes and joins us as well, and it's
Mhm.
kind of, it's like it has this sense that you need something and it can give it to you. It's really powerful.
And they show it. They show that they want it. And they are actually spiritual energy suckers, cats. They come everywhere where the energy is high, where there's spiritual practice, where there's spiritual work. They want to be there and suck it up. Yeah, yeah, very, very interesting. Yeah, yeah. Animals show us a lot of things. I think I'm running an animal sanctuary. We are looking after over 70 animals, a lot of stray cats. We get a lot of wild cats with kittens that other people want to kill. And yeah, well, that's what they do here. And yeah, and it's very fulfilling, I have to say. Good. So animals, our teachers, one of many. Yeah, Navjoti?
Yeah, Eva, I want to, sorry, Maya, I want to say, yeah, I don't have a pet, but I do care about animals, so I'm vegan.
Ah, yeah.
Yeah.
Very good. Yeah, very good. Yeah, that is the ultimate care for animals, is of course not to exploit them for food when there's other choices, right? Another choice, another lifestyle choice. So here's the veggie burger, here's the whatever cow burger. Which one do I choose, right? I'm vegan too, by the way, but I don't want to bother you with that. So, friends, what do you think? Do you choose your friends as part of your lifestyle? You do, Saida? Yeah? Very good. I like that. Tell me about it. How do you do that?
Yeah, I try not to have friends who are energy suckers, if that makes sense.
Yeah, that makes sense.
And
Yeah.
I don't have many friends, but I have good ones, you know. And so I like a lot of time by myself. Even within my family, I like a lot of time by myself.
Yeah.
And that means that, you know, when people are around, you feel uplifted in the company of others rather than kind of drained. That doesn't mean that you don't kind of help and support and all of those other things, but it's a reciprocal relationship. You know, it really does. It's nourishing. I've had I don't know, I've had a long time where I didn't have friends like that, and it's just so draining. You just can't do other things in your life. So I'm very careful about who my friends are.
So you chose not to be friends with these people and to be with others.
Yeah.
Yeah, very good. Yeah, that's part of the personal development, that you feel strongly about making choices who your friends are. And also part of, or it's a sign of personal development, that you like to spend time with yourself. That's also like a like a like a gauge where you can gauge your personal development as more you are knowing yourself and coming into higher frequencies of beingness, if you will, as less time you need to spend with others, because mostly their conversation go around topics that you are not interested in anymore. And that is probably then when you find that's a waste of time. And then also that you find you don't need to be polite and endure this Yeah, time's too precious. Yeah, very good. Great. So anybody has here a friend that they think they rather not want to have? Has this changed during the course of the last month, maybe?
For me, I've always been very picky about my friends, but even lately, I'm being more picky about how much time I give them
Mm-hmm.
and when. So I don't like let them run around when to meet and or how long we stay together. I keep control on my time.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't pick up calls or look at the WhatsApp after a certain time in the evening.
Very
I
good.
don't entertain that. Yeah.
Yeah.
I also don't mind spending a lot of time alone. I usually do it also. I just can, even if I couldn't travel, I'll just book a hotel room for a couple of days and just go there and switch off my phone and just
Yeah.
spend some time on my own.
Right. Yeah. That's beautiful, and that's a really a choice, right? It's not
Mhm.
something that nowadays it made lightly that you can just switch off your phone with everything going on there. But it's yeah, if you choose to do that once in a while, I think that's a brilliant lifestyle choice. Yeah. What else do we have here? Ah, that was it. Anything else I haven't covered that you consider a lifestyle choice?
Eva, what, Maya, I don't know why I keep saying Eva today. I'm sorry. Maya, uh, Maya, I wanted to ask about the news, following the news, because you care about what's going on in the world, but at the same time,
Ah, yeah, that's a good
it
idea.
affects,
Yeah,
at
TV,
the same time.
lifestyle choices. Do we turn on the TV or not? Do we read newspapers or not? That's a good point. Thank you. I forgot about that. What do you think about that?
But I used to be somebody who used to follow the news closely, and then ever since I gave birth, I shut out completely.
Mhm.
So, but it's something I would like to hear from you also. I mean, is there a healthy way to access
Mhm.
news, or is it
Yeah.
okay not to?
Yeah, that's a really good point. I haven't watched news in the last 10 years, I would say, and not read a newspaper. And I don't think I missed out on any important information, to be quite frank. I stopped doing this because it made me feel either sad or angry or any kind of negative emotion. Whatever I read, whatever I saw on TV had this reaction. And then I realized that is not me. That doesn't resonate with me. Yeah. I normally don't have this emotion. I normally don't have this. And so I thought must be the TV. So I turned it off. I think, however, talking about lifestyle choices, this is a choice. What you would like, you can of course watch something. There's heaps of content out there that is brilliant. Yeah, to watch. I mean, it's not like, you know, there's not a demon behind a screen. That's not what I personally think. It's just choose what it is. So now we have Netflix, now we have YouTube, now we have whatever, Apple TV. So you choose what you want to see, and you don't need, when you have TV, you are at the mercy of a TV director, what they put in front of you, right? And we were in mercy of that 15 years ago. And I think it's quite a big freedom now that we can actually choose what we want to see if we want to see something. Yeah. And that's great. Choose what's important to you, and then make sure you are always recapping, is it still important for me? Does it still make me feel uplifted, or is it informing me really, or does it just give me bad taste, so to speak? Yeah. Saida?
Yeah, it's interesting hearing you, because I don't like watching. Actually, we went through a phase where we didn't even have a TV, and I don't like watching the news. But I did disconnect from it a long time ago. But I realized that because I have teenage kids, And I kind of thought, you know what, if I'm not up to speed with what's happening in the world,
Mm-hmm.
then it makes it more challenging for me to parent,
Mm-hmm.
because they're aware of stuff. So I read my news now. Because
Ah,
you know, and so I don't watch it on the TV. Sometimes I might if there's something that I think is, but I try and read it rather than watch it on the TV. So I still have some sort of an awareness, and I
yeah.
only read in certain papers, because I don't want to read like far right or anything like that. So I have some sense of what's going on in the world without, and even then it still makes you angry and all of these other things. But I at least I try and keep a connection with it.
For your children. That's what I hear you saying.
Yeah, yeah,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Well, that's a choice, no? That's a lifestyle choice to keep connected with the children. You do things. Yeah, sure. Very good.
yeah.
Mm-hmm. Very good. Anybody else has something to say about that, or shall we move on? Move on? Okay. So let's talk about unsolved emotion. Have you ever heard the term dark night of the soul? Does it ring a bell? No? Yes, Saida, Eva, no, Navjoti, Heba have heard it? Not? Not. Okay, half and half. So there's a big history that is actually originated in Germany in the medieval ages, but I'm not going there. The current use of the dark night of the soul. Let me just see if I talk about that in another slide. When we talk about unsolved emotions, we talk about dark night of the soul, blind spots or blind hold or shadow aspect is another. There are lots of different ways to express what I'm talking about here. Yeah, we are also talking about family entanglements when we talk about unsolved emotions, conditioned beliefs, and then there is such a thing as trapped emotions. In case you haven't heard that yet, I will introduce you to that. I will introduce you to the nice word lakatosis that I'm sure you have never heard before. And now we start to go into more detail. So start with trapped emotions. When you are in shock or even startled, just startled, yeah, the body is storing this emotion somewhere. It doesn't release it because it is in the state of tightness, tenseness, yeah. And a trapped emotion is they are building up in your system. I don't say body, in your whole energy system, wherever it is, yeah. It's building up and building up and building up if it's never released, yeah. And this is why it is important to release trapped emotions. And there are several ways to do that. First of all, you need to connect with your emotional body. That is like the tissue that is close to your physical body, very close, yeah. And you can feel that sometimes, you can touch it, and that is where you are kind of, people can see that. Some people can see, they call it auras, that are actually, that is actually this emotional body that we all have. And now, we are talking about personal emotion vibration in module 4, actually not 5. I don't know why we say 4, 5 in next module. But these emotions, they want to be released if you want to develop, if you want to go ahead in your life, if you want to go into personal growth, into self-realization. Trauma and being caught off guard create this emotions that are then trapped in the emotional body. Yeah. There are old trapped emotions that you can release with various methods, and then there are trapped emotions that you probably catch every day. And from now on, you can release them every morning, every night. Maybe as part of your of your ritual, of your daily routine, or just as a deliberate moment to for yourself to find this emotion and let them go. And it is easy, and I will just explain how you can do that. You will just sit. You will go through the day. What happened? during the day, and then realize if you had a moment where you were startled, caught off guard, something unexpected happened, and then you would feel into your emotional body, which is very close to your physical body. You feel like it's like a layer on top, yeah. Where the emotion is and what kind of emotion it is. Is it fear? Was it anger? Was it sadness? Whatever it was, yeah. And then you and then you see how this emotion is leaving this emotional body. And you can take an exhale to release it. It's really that simple. As soon as it's seen, you can release it with any simple ways. The problem with trapped emotions is you don't see them. They get unnoticed, undetected. But as soon as you see them, you find them, they're already almost gone. You know, you need very little to let them go. If you want to go deeper and find trapped emotions that are lying deeper, way back, then there are methods, one of which I know is called the emotion code. Have everybody heard that? The emotion code? If you Google that, do I talk about that? Yeah, hang on. The emotion code. You can Google that, and you find actually online free PDFs about it. It's very simple. The emotions are listed in a certain way, in a list, if you will, all kinds of emotions that can be trapped. And then there are instructions how to release them. And they can be tracked at any age, even before birth, even in past lives. So they can be tracked at any stage and be still in the emotional body. And you can release them with these methods that are explained in the emotion code. Which I don't do here because we have no time for that. But if you would be interested, go there and find that. The sources are very inexpensive, and it's a very inexpensive way to clear it. Of course, you can do this all in a meditation if you're used to meditate and you can go deep in your meditation. You can find these trapped emotions as well. You just need to look for them. Make it an intention to find them.
How do you spell it, Maya?
The emotion code?
Emotion code.
Emotion code.
C-O-D-E code.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
It's a thing. It's a book. So now that we know all of this and we are on our path of higher awareness, it's actually time not to trap any new emotions, right? So just to continue to release already trapped one, but not to fetch new ones. So how do we do that? Is by staying awake and aware during the day. Nothing can really shock you when you are centered in the truth. Or when you know Eckhart Tolle, I love him very much, the spiritual teacher, in the now. If you stay in the now, you are not trapping any emotion. No emotion can get to you, right? The emotions get to you when you're in your head, when you are worried, when in a state like this, and then something can or somebody can startle you or attack you even emotionally. Yeah. So that is the best part of it. Stay centered in the truth, stay in the now, be aware, and nothing is really able to surprise you anymore, shock you, to traumatize you, and therefore not to fetch any new trapped emotion, or to trap any new emotion. Good. We're talking about conditioned beliefs now. We talked about that briefly in the first module. Conditions happen from conception or conception, so before birth, up to max 7 years old, we would say, right? Most of the conditioning is happening in theta state and in alpha state, so from children up to 3, 4, 5 years. So we are most susceptible for that. And that is because we want to understand without rationalizing it, the environment we are born into and adapt to it. That's our need for bond. So we want to adapt for it, and we have not the faculties to do that in a rational way as early in early years. So we are soaking up like a sponge the beliefs that are around us, especially from our parents, of course, or our community when we're living in a community, and nowadays also from early childhood TV and gaming, whatever is offered there for early child, right? Of course, also in forms of religion, that's also a belief that we might in young years soak up, yeah? When you do the work on self-development, you don't need to change anything, but you need to be aware of them. And you need to be ready to address and questioning it, yeah? When it serves you, when you're aware of them and they serve you and you work great, yeah? When you're aware of them and you find out they don't or partially don't serve you anymore, then not so great, then change it, yeah? It's all about the awareness of these belief systems. That is most important, not to follow blindly what you have done from early childhood on. And part of self-development is, and you always find that in spiritual teachings as well, is like this I think it's this picture of the prodigal son or something like this, who has to go discover the world, yeah, and then come back a changed man, yeah, if you will. And that is also what we do in spiritual development, yeah. We are going out of our conditioned belief system. We discover what else is there, and then we come back and make right choices. They are very individual and only tailored to our life, to our beingness. You have to find your own path. Nobody works in the way we work and is following only really beaten paths. There's always something that makes you individual, and that is your own path, and that's a new one. So don't shy away to follow that. It's actually really fun, and you will probably get to know yourself completely new and overcome a lot of fears in the wake of that. So now we have an exercise. I would like you to go in groups of 2 and discuss with your partner your belief system. And it is good to do that together, because it's probably something comes up while you discuss it that you haven't even thought of before, right? So think about something that you always do, something that maybe your parents already do, that you do. Could be the way you, I don't know, the way you slice a load of bread, or I give you a funny story about that. Or it could be bigger, like a whole concept, like a world concept, right? I give you an example because I'm laughing about this loaf of bread. I heard this story about somebody who, we are not talking about ham, but bear with me, bacon. I heard a story about somebody who said, who cut always the bacon. You know, you buy them, and I don't know that, but I know you see them. You can buy bacon, and they are in stripes, right? And somebody was talking to me and said that they always cut the ends off and put them in the pan to do the breakfast, like bacon and eggs, I suppose, right? And then always the cut-offs were chucked out, always chucked out. And then the daughter, that's a mother, and then the daughter asked her, why are you cutting the ends of the ends are perfectly fine, right? What a waste of food. And then she said, well, I cut them off because you're supposed to do that with hams. I don't know why, they are maybe toxic or something like that. And then And then the daughter said to her, well, you should know why you do that. You know, we better research that. And then they researched it, and that there was nothing to be found about the ends of ham being in any way, shape, or form toxic. And then the mother said, oh my gosh, I actually do that because my mother told me to do that, right? And that's why I do it. And I actually don't know the reason for it. So she asked her mother, who is now an old lady, why she always cut off the ends of the ham. And the mother told bacon, and the mother told her, because I had a small pan and they don't fit in there whole, right? And that was a belief system, the belief system that went down until the youngest generation questioned it, that these ham bacon ends need to be cut off, right? And that's just a fun story, but that is a belief system, right? So I would like you in this exercise to dig deep with your partner and find out what is it actually that you have never questioned and that is part of your life that you do that is actually based on belief and not on choice. Yeah. Okay. So we work in groups of 2 and we only take 10 minutes. And then after that, we come back, we share, and then we have a break. So let me put you in breakout rooms. And of course, you don't need to swap in this exercise. You just have this 10-minute, and I'll let you know when it's over. Here you go. Ding. Wait for the others to come in. How did you go?
Really
did you find
good.
something?
We found that each of those belief systems also can have, like, as I mentioned them and called them shadows, that you think that it's all clear, but you find it from the other side and oh no, it's again the same. It just changed the t-shirt or that.
That's true. That's a good observation. That's a very good observation. Yeah. So is there a particular belief system you found? Eva, did you find a particular belief system?
Yeah, so the main idea was that we with Najoti were talking that those belief systems that came from our mothers, they are really, really strong. They are mostly stronger than belief systems from father's sides.
Ah, yeah.
Because we shared my experience that from mother's side, it's really like grandmother's and grandmother's side, they believe that you need to work really hard to achieve something, but you won't achieve anything still. Like you need to do, but we know that you won't achieve anything. And I remember then I was a small girl, I really tried to work hard and I get success even then and even nowadays. But when I'm doing like some kind of, again, like amazing thing that our maybe ancestors didn't have or didn't achieve, they are still saying like, no, push, you need to be shy about that. It's just one time when it's like that and stuff like that. Yeah. But from the father's side, I had they were so goal driven. They were achieving like tons of things and they wanted to achieve and they believed that they want. So in my childhood, I remember the side from mothers, you won't achieve anything, but you need to work, but still not. And from a father's side, that you can do anything you want. And it went like that for me, but I really tried to stick with father's side. But it took for me 3 family constellations to work with this belief system from mother's side. And I think that maybe after a couple of years again, the t-shirt gonna change and I will see that, oh, I need to do some kind of work with that.
It comes up and up and up, eh? Yeah, yeah. Conditioned belief systems are really hard to come by because they are conditioned. But nevertheless, it gets easier as more awareness you have, and you don't need to do much as more as you develop personally. You don't need to do much to shed them. They are kind of almost staying behind, if you will, over time. So at the moment, it feels also like I have to fight for them. I have to resist. I have to change. I have to do something, and then you have then you have a success, and then you are falling back a little bit again, and so back and forth. But over time, they are kind of falling apart anyhow. Yeah, because there's simply no need anymore to hold on to anything. All right, very good. Thank you. And Navjoti, did you find something?
Yeah, I was with Eva, so the same thing, the belief through the mother. In my case, nobody likes you. That was a very strong belief that came, and till date I struggle with it. So, and I'm not able to get rid of it. So
you're not able to get rid of it.
No, no,
no.
Yeah. So it was a strong message from her.
Yeah.
And maybe she got the same message from her mother. I don't know, but it's so strong. And like Eva said, it pops. No matter how much work you do, it pops up from here and there and doesn't go away. So far, I'm not fixated.
That's also good, because you might feel you do a lot of work and they don't bear any fruits, but they do. Everything is a step. It's just that you don't feel it in your life yet, because it's like you're building a bridge and you have not like put all the stones, all the rocks together to actually bridge the waters, but every stone you put there is necessary to form the bridge, so you can finally walk over it, right? And while you put stones in there and you can still not walk over it, it feels almost like nothing is happening. But it is every single time. And you're right, family constellation is a great tool to get rid of conditioned belief systems, because they form a pattern in the family as well. Yeah, that you can address. So keep going. Good. Very good. Okay, Saida and Heba, how about you? How did that go?
Religious belief systems and traditions and things, and I found it really fascinating actually listening to Eva and Navjoti, because my father wasn't part of my life, so I never had real understanding of the different kind of systems of mother and father. And I was listening to them and realized that actually my mum was a real rebel, in many respects. And so for me, I've always said, like, I question and I challenge things, and I was sharing with Hiba that when I was 13, I decided to read the Bible and the Torah and the Quran to kind of like say, well, what's the right way, which is the one that I'm choosing. And actually, at that time, I didn't tell my mum I was doing this because she would have found it very difficult. And I'm now looking at my kids and thinking, they are also quite rebellious. And it's that thing, you said something about like, questioning why you're doing things, so making choices about it. And I think that I have realized that perhaps I'm doing that because that's my mum's way of doing it, and now I've got questions about what is, because my dad will have given me some systems and things, so what is that? Because it's clearly there, it's just I didn't have, it was a blind spot for me, perhaps that's the way to put it.
Yeah. Wonderful.
Thank
so
you.
Your belief system is that you have to question everything.
Essentially, yeah.
Yeah, it's interesting, eh? Isn't that fun?
Yeah.
Yeah. Very good. Very good. And Heba?
So as Saida said, we were just discussing a little bit about how sometimes religion is being inherited. So even those who are practicing, they just practice because they have to, because this is how they were brought up by their parents, not because, as you said, they have the choice or they understand that they have the choice, and if they're doing it because they want to do it, because they believe in this system or in this religion. And this is more or less the same way that religion has been passed on even for us. And only lately that I have started to, I mean, I'm still practicing the same way I was practicing for like the past 30 years, but the only thing is that my, as you said, the intentions and the understanding of why I'm doing this is getting different now.
Ah, that's a good change.
Yeah.
Right. So you have new intentions.
Yeah. So it's not like I have to because it's this is my religion and I have to do this. It's more like this is my choice and I enjoy doing it.
Yeah. Very good. Very good. Thank you for sharing. That was very enlightening. And now it's time for our break. So I see you back in 10 minutes. So Saida asked, how do we break away from belief systems? Of course, there are many ways. For us, the preferred way, the preferred method would be probably family constellation. Because if it is inherited from the family and it's forming a family pattern, then you are not the source of the belief system. It is your ancestor. And there is a reason for that. Yeah. Something has happened there so that wherever this belief system started, this belief started, is not there was a reason, an underlying reason, most likely a traumatic experience. And I'll give you an example. In a similar situation where a client asks for that issue, not being able to attract monetary abundancy, neither the parents nor the grandparents. In the family system, it came to light that way back, I don't remember what generation it was, way back, a generation, there was a tragedy. There was a victim-perpetrator relationship, and apparently somebody suffered greatly under the injustice of a family member, and became very, very poor. Most likely died, or the whole family died, or something like that. Yeah. Now there are two ways: either your family is entangled with the victim or the perpetrator. Could be either or, right? It could be entangled with the victim, so you're victimized from there on. Yeah, that there is this this belief system. If I make money, it will be stolen from me anyhow. So I rather don't make money, then we are safe. We don't lose our lives. Yeah, that would be a thought, like a belief system that would form in the victim family. Yeah, or in the perpetrator family, the belief system would form: if I get money, if I have money, I have stolen it from somebody else. So money is always, there from somebody else's tragedy. And that belief system would pass down to the family. So the family members would say, I rather don't have money, so I don't make anybody else suffering. And what it is, and what the true causes of this belief system will only reveal a family constellation. So remember, when you have some pattern in the family, there, whatever you feel or you do or you experience is most likely not because you did something in your lifetime. It is very, very likely that somebody else did something way back And that's what we reveal with family constellations. So keep that in mind in our next practice workshop or in our next open workshop. You raise your hand and you might get a go. Yeah. So you can address that in this training for sure. Yeah. Okay. Good. Now we are looking at the dark night of the soul. Everyone who is earnestly seeking the truth and self on any spiritual path is inevitably experiencing the so-called dark night of the soul. A period of utter spiritual desolation, disconnection and emptiness in which one feels separated from the divine, totally lost, hopeless, and doesn't find meaning in life. The signs to be in a dark night of the soul are sleeplessness, a fear or horror that comes over, especially in the night, whilst trying to fall asleep. Yeah, it feels like a deep depression. What is always there is a questioning of the meaning in life. Like, what is this all about anyhow? Nothing seems to bring joy all of a sudden, right? Whatever was before bringing joy doesn't do the trick anymore. And that's the most important part, is no one can help. There is this feeling of nobody can help. I'm totally alone in this. And it's also a collapse of values that's often accompanied with this encountering of the dark night of the soul. You might have even visitors in the night, out-of-body experiences, signs. All can come as a guide. All can come to you to guide you through this phase, because it's just that. It's a phase. And if you would know it's a phase, you would be probably really falling into a depression. And you would be desolated because you think all your work on spiritual development, all your work on self-realization, all your work in clearing family history and pattern, healing work, whatever you do, was for nothing. This is how it feels. For nothing, right? And if you would know it's just a phase, you would be really down and might do something stupid, right? But it is just this, it is a phase, and it's a necessary phase. And most often, I cannot say most often, but I know from my own experience, it only was literally in one night. This is not a long phase. Yeah, it's quite a short phase. So what are we doing here? We are realizing we are in a situation of the dark night of the soul when this is happening, and you ask for help. You ask for spiritual guidance. Whoever is your guide, whoever your higher self, or if you work with angel powers or with religious powers, or with whatever powers you believe in, ask for help. Ask your teachers for help. Ask all the souls for help who have gone through it before already and mastered it, right? And this asking for help is a silent prayer in the night, yeah, while you cannot sleep. After going through the dark night of the soul, you will experience a change of perception. There will be a lightness in beingness. There will be new goals and motivations, and there will be a new, stronger connection to the divine and a new sense of self. That is the reward. And that is why it's happening. It is this shift. Yeah. And this is the most profound shift on the way to self-discovery. And this is where we have to go through. Anybody has encountered that already? Good. So now it's good that you haven't, because it's better to encounter that when you know what it is. You just need to, in this situation, you just need to remember it, be aware of it, be aware what's happening here, right? So all the signs, not all of them at the same time need to be present, but most of them, yeah? At least several together. So you know you are in a dark night of the soul. And then when you went through it and you encounter this new sense of beingness, you will be so happy that you went through it. And it will take your life to a really a new level of existence, if you will. So don't be afraid of it. Don't shy away of it. It is really necessary and it will happen eventually. And it's really good when you're prepared for it. And there's a lot of literature about if you wanted to deepen your knowledge about it. And also you can only help others when you went through that as well, right? So that's another thing. So don't take a sleeping pill when you find yourself in this phase. It's like a rebirthing. You have to go through that with all your mighty and your force and your power. Ever.
When discussing the lifestyles you mentioned about the drugs and these things, how about medicinal herbs? I mean, like, I don't know if you heard of ashwagandha and these things, which
well, I know
they say that,
ayahuasca, of course.
yeah,
Everybody's talking about that. Cannabis.
these are like herbs. They're not like cannabis and these things. Like they're not addictive substances, but they have some effect. I mean, ashwagandha, they say it can help to sleep, for example.
Okay, so natural remedies have been around for ages to support and help people and animals, and there's nothing wrong with it. The contrary, it would be stupid not to use it if you need it and you know how to use it and you got the knowledge. That's absolutely great, right? Of course, the true power lies within your mind and your creativity, right? So the true power is that you need nothing, that you are whole. That's your true power. That's at the core of all of us, what we can achieve, that we need nothing else. We need a simple food, simple plant-based food to nourish us, right? And that's our power. And that will give us everything we need. Everything else might be needed. Of course, we take it if we feel like it, but the goal is not to need anything, right? Agreed? The goal is to be happy and free with some basic foods, and all needs are gone. That is true freedom. I am not into mind-altering drugs, natural remedies, right? I don't think that helps anybody, because you come back into your own mind anyhow after the trip, right? And I have heard reports about taking ayahuasca trips and everything else and being profoundly changed. I don't know. I don't know anyone. For me, this is stories. I don't know anybody who has profoundly changed after a trip. But I don't want to exclude it. It's possible, but I wouldn't recommend it. I think we have the power when we are discovering ourselves, our true self. We have all the powers we need. As that you can take it as far as that you really don't want to drink coffee anymore, eat chocolate, because you feel the neurotoxins in it. You feel how it's messing with your mind. Yeah. You can come to a state of being so detoxed and so aware that this is already too much. Have you heard the term temple food? No? If you're interested, Google that. So monks, I I'm thinking now of Tibetan monks, but I'm sure other areas of the world have the same. They are very adamant about what they eat. They not eat every plant. They don't eat onions, for example, or garlic, or coffee beans, or cacao beans, or anything like that, because they are all neurostimulants. They are stimulating the neurons. And so you don't feel exactly who you are anymore. Interesting, no? So all the food is prepared that it is calm and grounding and centering, and everything else that takes you out of the state is not in the garden and not on the plate. And that includes, of course, drinks as well, right? So I'm not talking about the monks who are brewing beer like in Bavaria, or or growing wine for making alcoholic beverages. No. So that's a thought. Okay, let's talk about blind spots. Somebody has just mentioned it before. We're talking about, who was it? We were just talking about something else. Ah, Saida. What did you say about that again?
Blind spots are.
We always miss your first half of the sentence because your mic seems to lag.
Oh, sorry. I'm discovering what my blind spots are.
Yeah, very good. Very good. Yeah. So we all should discover what our blind spots are. It's a really, really important part of our self-development towards becoming the best version of ourselves, and to be able to help others to do the same. So every aspect in yourself that you have not looked or not brought into light is called a spiritual or emotional blind spot. Or other terms like shadow aspects, or black holes, or there are lots of words for the same thing. When working with a client and a similar issue comes up, you are unable to see it in your client because it's your own blind spot. Remember, you only can see what you know. You are incapable of finding things that you never heard of, that you don't know of. They are not there for you. They are not within your reality. And that's the same with this blind spot. Clearing blind spots is a result of continuing with the work of self-realization. So every time you step out in a family constellation, or in a representation, or by reading something, or by listening to something that clicks, and another aspect has been fallen into place, and it's not blind anymore, as long as you are able to reflect on it, yeah, and see it. It will clear itself. You don't need to do anything. You just be aware of it and don't fight it. If you don't like it, that's saying go away. No, enjoy that you found it and it's part of you, and look at it and see where you see it in your daily life, whatever it is. Every time when you're attending a family constellation workshop, another aspect of yourself will be revealed and a blind spot will be cleared. Even if you're just observing, that can already be enough to clear something. And that brings this feeling of lightness, this feel, and it can be subtle or it can be profound. It doesn't matter which variation of it, but it is this feeling of lightness that you feel, that others reporting. That is the base of the work, and that's what you do. All these aspects are falling away, light brought to light, and are therefore, as I would like to say, digested. Being part is a part of you, a good part of you, instead of hiding somewhere in the shadow. If you think of it, I mean, when I thought about it, I thought actually unsolved family entanglements are all a form of blind spot. Nobody wants to look at them in the end. That's what they are, right? They're especially important to be looked at and cleared when starting to work with family constellation, right? because you want to offer to, when you offer your service, especially when you offer them as a paid service, you want to make sure you showing up as a like whole, like whole, so you can see your client also whole, and not fragmented into aspects that are seen and aspects that are not seen. A resolved, we know that, of course, a resolved mother relationship is key to success, and this success is also needed when you clear blind spot holes or shadow aspects on your own path, right? So as always, our mother relationship is key, and we cannot stop, and we cannot spend enough time to work on it over and over and over again. Now we come to lakatosis. Now you wonder, what the heck is that? Is it German? No, it's not German. I have this word from an English spiritual teacher, but I know it's not in the Oxford Dictionary, this word. Lakatosis is the disease of needing things, yeah? Because if you're in the need of things, there's always something lacking. And you know, like, tosis is always put at the end when you have a disease. So now this is lakatosis, because it's the disease of always needing something, always feeling something's lacking. What is lacking? What is lacking? What is lakatosis? It is a need to be loved, right? That is the first thing. Often hidden in the shadows, of course, right? Often hidden in the shadows. They need to be accepted. They need to be seen. They need to be wanted. Like Navjoti just shared, her belief system, nobody wants me. Or was it likes me? Well, it's probably the same. Yeah? And most often, and that's another trap to fall into, the need to be needed. And therapists, and also people who are facilitating family constellation can fall into that. It can be a sign of lakatosis, the need to be needed. They want to be needed. And this is why they do the work. That is not a good motivation. Yeah. The opposite is the case. You should be free of any kind of lakatosis, and then you can do the work properly. So check out in a quiet moment, what is my lakatosis? What do I need? Where is my neediness seen? Where does it show? Yeah. And rest assured, we all have something. 100%. And you cannot completely shed everything, but again, the awareness of it is already 90% of the success. So there's another trap, is you need the group experience. And I know facilitators who are totally needy. They need the group. It's like getting a fix. And we know now why. What do you think? What need is addressed there?
Need for power.
The what?
Power.
Yeah, if you look at the list of needs, what
Need for power.
The need for power.
To be needed.
To be needed, yeah, and ultimately the need to be loved by the mother, because remember, the group stands for the mother. Yeah. Here's a group. Somebody needs a group experience, it's a need for mother's love that comes through. But it's a love, a need that is unacknowledged. And that's why it becomes a problem. Because instead of going to the mother in a family constellation or in real life or however they do it, and allowing themselves to need their love, They turn away from the mother and want it from the group. Yeah. That's systemic coaching. That's how you know. Everything has a deeper connection. Okay, is there anything you want to discuss in regards of personal development that we have either talked about or even not talked about? Maybe I missed something out, or you want to share something that you have not found in what I talked about that was profound for you? That would be now the time. Good. Right. Okay. Now we move on to the last part of today. We are looking at some specific issues that can happen in family constellations that we need a bit of troubleshooting with. One is the most common challenges in family constellations are mentally impaired participants and family secrets. And we are looking at these two aspects in great detail. So let's look at mentally impaired participants. Signs of a mentally impaired person in a family constellation workshop are they can't comply with the rules. They demand your attention. They are never content with the outcome. Once more, and I'm not saying that each of them needs to be present. One can be enough, one or two. They can run in and out of the room and leave the seat uncontrolled, which goes hand in hand with not complying to the rules, if you will. They want to take over a role as a representative without being asked. They have the urge to jump in a constellation and feel that they are drawn to the constellation. They claim not to be able to get out of a role, out of a representative role. They think they are possessed by a family member present, like spiritually possessed when they are representing. They hear voices. They said, I have to say that because I just heard that. I have to say that. They want you to tell what to do. So that are the signs for mentally impaired people. Let's go back to the list. So, and of course, then the severe case is schizophrenia. So now let's discuss what to do. So we have talked about that with Sahida a few times. Shall we or shall we not work with mentally impaired people? There are two ways to think about it. If you have a client who's mentally impaired and comes to you, it's really difficult to facilitate a family constellation, right? I'm just saying that. You can try it. There's nobody hindering you. You can deal with all of these things. The outcome is still questionable, right? When you see in a family constellation, in a generation, one of the family member is represented as somebody who is mentally impaired, then you can work. Yeah, because this is kind of an information from the field. Yeah, that there would be a reason for that lies hidden somewhere. So that's the difference. Do you understand that differently? So there's no problem to work in a family constellation when a representative shows any of these signs as a representative. But when the client is like this, I have never really seen that it has a satisfying outcome when I do a constellation with them. It doesn't seem to do anything. It just doesn't seem to work, right? But that doesn't mean that you shouldn't try it if you have the chance. See it for yourself, right? I'm not telling you to dismiss any of these persons. when they show this sign, but be aware. These are the signs. If they come up, be very careful. Yeah, and decide what you want to do. Schizophrenia is kind of the epiphany of it, where you come to the stage that you see you can also not do anything systemically. So when what is one of the reasons for schizophrenia in a family system? That's what we can ask, but that doesn't mean we can help clearing it. Yeah. So there is
Maya, I think you said
Yeah?
before that sometimes if someone gets entangled with more than one person, they can appear like a schizophrenic, right?
Yeah. That
So
is
this means
most often the reason.
unless we set up this constellation, would not know if he's really schizophrenic or not, right?
Say it again.
Unless we set up a constellation and check if he's really entangled with more than one person or not, then we'll not be able to verify that he's really mentally ill, right?
You know, the thing is, we don't doing the diagnosis anyhow. We just use these terms from the medical profession to give us a guideline. Yeah. Well, we are not trained in any of these, and we are not treating this neither. Yeah. It is just don't be frustrated when you work with somebody who's mentally impaired or schizophrenic if it's very unpleasant and it doesn't result in anything. Yeah, that's what I want to convey here. Don't be disheartened. Don't be frustrated. Don't think you could have done a better job. No, you cannot. Yeah. Right. So yes,
But
you're right.
If the problem was entanglement, then he might get better, right?
Say it again.
If the problem was an entanglement and we cleared the entanglement, then there is a possibility that he might improve, right?
So you know that in the psychotherapy, it is said that schizophrenia cannot be healed; it can only be treated. Right? You're aware of that. And we see the same in family constellations. These two entanglements that you often see in somebody who is who has schizophrenia, they cannot be cleared because they are kind of following opposing directions. It's hard to explain, but you cannot just clear one and then the other. When you clear one, the other pops up again. When you clear that, then the other one pops up again. It's like that, you know, if you will, this picture. So there's nothing. It's nothing you can do really, right? One is always bouncing off of the other. So there is a threat in the family community, in our community page, a thread that you can read about schizophrenia, and there are videos links from Bert Hellinger and so on, because everybody is interested in this topic for some reason. I don't even know why it's so interesting, but there was a bit of a discussion going on. Read that if you want to dive deeper into that. Why I put it here under troubleshooting is I want to tell you that if it happens in when you are working with clients in a workshop mainly, then that's what you watch out for. And if that's the sign and there's nothing you can really do, don't put any more effort in it. Yeah, just leave it be. It is just what it is. Yeah, just leave it be. So what are the signs of schizophrenia?
Have you ever encountered anything like that?
Say it again.
Have you ever encountered anything like that?
Yes, I had one case. Yes. I had one case.
So he had no idea that he was schizophrenic when they constellated.
Yeah. So I don't know. As I said, I'm not diagnosing. I'm not going that far to say it was schizophrenic. I just know that she, a participant, was definitely heavily mentally impaired, which turned out during the workshop. It was a weekend workshop. And then in the second day, it became really obvious. And why I know that is she had lots of the sign of mentally impairness. Yeah. And then all of a sudden, when she was in a representative role, she completely freaked out and ran around in the room, like running, not moving with the field. This is what you know, right? Nothing to do with the role she was representing. Running around in circles, circling other, had like wide eyes open, and I would just say foam in her mouth, but she hasn't, but it looked like it. And then she steamed out of the room and in the garden and was running around there, and everybody got worried, and you know, and all attention on her, and it was a drama. It was a drama. And that is, and then of course she claimed then afterwards she cannot get out of the role. That was all the role, and now she cannot get out of it, and nothing worked, and this is all shit, you know, and you cannot help me, and this typical, these things that you have with mentally impaired people. You need to be aware of that, and don't think you can help them. Yeah. There's this humility needed to say it is what it is. No, not everybody can be helped. Yeah. And well, if this, like in this case, if she was there for the weekend, she might have taken something out of it. Who knows? But I can tell you that anyhow, I followed up with her and blah blah blah. She vanished from the earth and went back home and was never to be seen again. So maybe that was a good move, maybe enabled in the family constellation, or maybe it was an avoiding. We don't know. We have to let that go, right? It is just really hard to work with mentally impaired clients. And if you can, stay away from it. You don't need to help everybody. No. Eva.
But Maya, could you please explain us how did you close the family constellation in that case? She ran out. It started the
Yeah, I
drama happening,
continued.
but,
Yeah. I continued with the constellation, with what was there, just normal, just as a constellation. I always had an eye outside, of course, in the garden, what she's doing there, but I was not too worried about her. I was more worried about my workshop participants, that they don't get too distracted, right? And then we had the family concert going. Went, you know, it went the way it does, and it did, and then we came to a conclusion and we ended that, and then she came back, and then and then she claimed she's still in the role and all of that, and then I said to her that we will look into that when I have a minute, like, you know, when I have a minute. So I think we had another constellation, then we had a break, and then I just asked her to wait, and then I talked to her, and then I realized there's really nothing to do. It is just, you know, her going mental. And then I said to her, you are clearly out of the role. I can see that. You have to reassure them. I see that you are out of the role. It's just you feel something, but you can let that go. It's not there anymore. Right? So just see what you can do to convince them to come back to normal. Normal, what we think it's normal. Yeah. To be compliant.
So this is in case, yeah, so this is in case the client has mental illness or schizophrenic. So what if the client is perfectly normal, and while setting up the constellation, it turned out that one of his family members was schizophrenic or mentally ill? Would the representative?
Yes, I have also had that. Yep, I have also had that, and that's an interesting case. What you see is there's nothing is moving. You normally see lots of dead bodies in the constellation. You normally see lots of dead bodies in the constellation. Lots of people involved, lots of representatives. Nothing is really moving. You don't find this healing movement that we are looking for. You know, this reconciliation. You just don't find it. At one point, you just break it up. Yeah, because you know you can't do that forever. And then interestingly, the same client in which family this was, he came to 3 of my in-person constellation workshops in the course of, I don't know, 5 or 10 years. And every single time we were ending at the same scene. Every single time, right? And I barely remembered because I forget these things. And then the client said, "Oh my gosh, this is exactly like 2 years ago." I said, "Here you go." And it never moves. Nothing moves. Nothing moves. And then we have to break it up. And then the third time, and then I was clear he probably shouldn't come again because we couldn't work on anything else. There was whatever he came, whatever issue he brought to the table, we ended up in the same scene. Right? It was not that he was, the clients are not saying, "I want to look, there's schizophrenia in my family." They don't even know that. They want to look at success in business. They want to look at relationship. They want to look at mother related, whatever they want to look. Disease, yeah. And in this case, we always came to the same scene. It was absolutely astounding. So this is also a sign nothing really moves forward. And you cannot try hard, as hard as you try, there's really not much you can do. So just be aware of that. Yeah. So these are the signs in schizophrenia and the family system are that one of the representatives is moving in circles. That's always a good sign for schizophrenia. Literally in circles. They are literally moving and not slow. They are normally doing that quite fast, and they are moving either in circles or they are circling the whole constellation. And online, in an online workshop, I have seen that once as circling with the head, like this. Yeah, I have seen that as well. So these are quite clear. I'm not saying 100%, but quite a clear sign that there is a case of schizophrenia. So then you'll be just super alert and conscious. What's happening next? Yeah, that's what I want to convey here. Now something we can actually solve, which maybe looks even similar. So when we talk about troubleshooting, when are we actually in trouble in a family constellation that we are facilitating? What do you think? When nothing moves.
Yeah.
Right? Then we are not in trouble if the representatives are moving, if you see a movement, if you see a change. That we are going with this. We get all these information from the field. Our trouble is when nothing moves. And that is either with this schizophrenia or mentally impaired client, or even sometimes in the family system, or when we have a family secret. They can look quite similar, only that when there is a family secret, nobody is doing this. Nobody's running in circles. So that's different, right? And there's another sign that shows us clearly we are dealing with a family secret. And that is far more often than schizophrenia, right? A family secret in a family constellation does occur, I don't know, 1 out of 10 times or so, right? And schizophrenia probably once in a lifetime or twice when you do the work, right? So that is a sign of a family secret when a constellation is not moving ahead and no dynamic shows up with the representatives. None. And it also is often like this, that nobody is looking at each other. Every single representative is looking at a different direction and not at somebody else. Family secrets will remain unresolved in a constellation if undetected, because it can appear something else, and then you go with something else, and then that's exactly what the secret wants. It doesn't want to be discovered. So don't wipe it under the table or carpet, or in German we would say carpet. Don't wipe the signs under the carpet. Remember, that is most likely family secret, and go with what I teach you here, how to deal with that. Yeah. And don't, because family secrets want to guide you off, off the track. They don't want to be discovered. Not really. But the family soul wants it to be discovered. The family soul, the family system wants to be healed. sometimes they don't reveal in the family constellation, but later on, because the movement is continuing, and then the client comes to you. It happened quite a few times to me, and all of a sudden says, a few weeks after the constellation, guess what my grandmother told me? There was this child that has been given away. Whatever, I don't remember the context anymore, but that is interesting. So that the movement moves on, and it can reveal later, if not in the constellation itself. Finding what means is here. The secret to the secret. The secret how to constellate a family secret is to add a representative for the secret to the constellation. And you will then see how everybody starts to move. And then you know, aha, I found it. There is a family secret. So we will actually, that's not an exercise, it's a
So Maya,
demonstration. Yeah.
If we add a representative for the family secret, then the movement will start again.
Then movement will start, yes. I will demonstrate that.
So
I will demonstrate, yeah, so?
And when you say that the secret might get revealed later, you mean like in real life?
In real life.
Mm-hmm.
That information will all of a sudden come to the client, that he can connect the dots and understand, oh my gosh, that was actually going on in my family. Because the movement in the family constellation that we are enabling towards making the family secret seen will manifest like everything else in the material world. So now what we're doing is we are, I demonstrate how to constellate, how to facilitate a constellation with a family secret. It probably, it takes as long as it takes, maybe 10 minutes, and then we can round everything up. So let's share, take that off. Okay, here are the figurines. Okay. So let's say we have a constellation that looks like, let's take 5 figurines. We have a constellation like this. And I just try to align them. So when you look at the figurines, when you observe them really closely, you can see nobody is looking at each other, right? And when nobody is looking at each other, then you have also no relationship and nothing to work with, right? Because we cannot just go to one figurine and say, turn around and look at them. No? We need to know where to start. With whom do we start? We always start with one that is looking at somebody else. Or we start with the one who is not looking, when everybody's looking at each other and one is looking away, then we would start with them. But here, everybody's looking away. We literally don't know where to start. Yeah. And when this is looking like this, oh, that reminds me, we had that situation in one of the practice workshops lately, probably last year. And I was really laughing because it was so obvious to me. And then I asked, because it was all trainees, I asked them, now people, what do we see here? What do you need? What is it? Nobody remembered that it's a family secret when it looks like this, right? So nobody's looking at each other. That's how it looks like, or different. And now you, of course, you won't forget that. You will see, aha, that is most likely family secret. So you would ask the client to choose another representative. Let's say this one, and place it. And if it's a representative in the flesh, if it's in person, then you would ask this representative, and we assume this is all in person, right? You would ask this representative to find its place. You wouldn't ask the client to place him. You would ask this representative to find its place. And he would go around and around and around and around and around and around and around, and then he would probably stop here. Yeah? Like this. And then you know, because you know this is a representative, let's say for the grandmother, the red one, then you know, aha, she has a secret. That's where the secret is. She has a secret. She's keeping a secret. And with the appearance of this one of these, maybe not her, she would feel very uncomfortable when you ask this representative. They would say, oh, I don't like that. Yeah. And one of the other one would turn around. At least one, and look. Right? And that can be the client, the representative of the client, can be somebody else. Most likely it's the representative of the client, but it can be anybody else. And now you have a dynamic to work with. Because now, what can this figurine now say? What is the acknowledging what is sentence here? Something was in the
I
hiding.
have a secret.
That would be
Okay.
her, but she's not talking because she's looking away. So what is this person, this representative who's looking, saying? What would they say? I see you. Let's acknowledge what is. I see you to the secret. Or to the red figurine, I see you have a secret. Or I see the secret belongs to you. Or I see your secret. Something like that. Depends on where this representative wants to look at. Yeah. And now you have a dynamic to work with. That's what you want, right? And the nature of a family secret is not to be seen. As soon as it's there, represented, it's already halfway down the healing track. It's there, right? Now, the next thing is that this one who has created or who has the secret, yeah, needs to acknowledge it too. So then the next step would be something like this person, this representative is telling her, please look at the secret. It's yours. It belongs to you. And then see if she can or she can nicht. Let's assume she can look at it. Then there would be a strong emotional reaction, often guilt or shame, something like that. And then you would realize that this is an actual person, of course. The secret is never a secret. It's always representing a person, a missing person. Somebody that was outcast. In this case, it could be what probably she had a parent that was dementia or whatnot, and she wanted to get rid of them, and whatever, inherit the business or something like that. I'm just making things up. So that could be a reason, right? And that is kept secret, of course, because she would be ashamed. And maybe that would have legal consequences too, of course. And then you will see that every figurine will start to move. They will all start to move because now it's kind of the ice was breaking. And they can all move. And whatever the family constellation then reveals can be revealed. So sometimes it is just about the family secret. Sometimes the family secret is just in the way for another dynamic that can also reveal that now is actually showing. And then it can be worked with, yeah? And that is how you troubleshoot when nobody's moving in a family constellation and nobody's looking at each other. That is not the same as a spell. You can also find a spell in a family constellation. It might look like this, but there is not necessarily no connection between the people. It's just something missing. Yeah. And then you could add something for the spell. Yes, Kaida. It's so funny that your mic is cutting out the first sentence.
Oh,
you said.
sorry. What
Yeah.
do you mean by spell?
You know, black magic, for example. So in a family system where they believe in black magic, they can actually create a spell. That is an emotion that becomes so strong that it becomes its own entity, if you will. Normally, emotions are attached to a person. Yeah. But they can be so strong, fears deliberately made, that they become like an own entity. You have to see it, and then you will understand. And that is often if
Have you ever come across anything like that?
like a possession almost, you know. Say it again.
So
Heba?
have you ever seen anything?
Yeah,
Have you ever seen
yeah.
anything like that in a constellation?
Yeah, a few times, definitely. Yeah. This is
So
a
when
bit
you add
jumping ahead,
the
but yeah, because we go in through that in module 4. You go. What's
so
your
when you
question?
add this one more representative, yeah. So when we add one more representative, so you said that we troubleshoot when the movement stops, right? But at that point, we cannot tell whether it stopped because of a spell or a secret or a mentally ill person in the family. So we just guess, and then we add one representative we intend that this representative is taking place there for a spell or for a secret, or we just with the person and then we wait what happens, or how does it work
We, as
then?
a facilitator, we know that there is a family secret. We just don't know to whom it belongs, and therefore we ask another person to represent the family secret. We don't even need to tell them they are representing a family secret. We just choose another person as a representative, and they will place themselves. But you know already you are dealing with a family secret. Yeah.
Okay.
In the case of mentally impairment, you don't need to add somebody because it doesn't go anywhere regardless. You can try to add. I'm always you are always free to experiment. I'm just warning you, that's all. You know, that doesn't mean you shouldn't or shouldn't do it. You can add in a representative for the mental disease if you wanted to, in the case of a schizophrenia, and see what happens, right? So they do look different, family secrets and mentally impaired constellations, because there's lots going on in mentally impaired constellations, and here's nothing going on. But the lots going on when you deal with mentally impaired people is making no sense to you, and you don't see a clear dynamic. And here's nothing going on, and you don't see a clear dynamic. That's kind of what it's alike. This is why you find yourself in trouble, if you will, as a facilitator. Is that clear? Yeah? Okay. Any other question regarding a family secret?
I was just wondering, for example, as you mentioned that we put a secret and it finds his or her place, and you mentioned that maybe all other start to move. But how do we do? For example, yes, we see that's the secret. Okay, we say that you please look at your secret, it's yours, and then the things started to happen. But what we will do with those other participants? Do we check it like further, or do we stop at the moment because it's the secret and that was the reason? Do we feel the field and the information from it coming? Do we need to continue, or how it
Yeah,
works?
that's absolutely. So if there needs to be more done, then it will be revealed through information to you. It is possible that all you need to do is add the representative for the family secret. You look at your client and see when the sigh of relief is there. Either your client or the representative of your client. That's the peak. That's where you break up. You don't need to see anything through when you have that. Yeah. But when nothing happens and you place a family secret and it's still the client is the representative of the client is in a movement and is not released, it's in a movement and it's even tenser, yeah, even. Then you know, aha, now the family secret is there. Now we are actually finding the dynamic behind it, right? Because behind this family secret could be another victim perpetrator dynamic. Yeah, we never know that until we actually see it. And when we see it, it makes sense, right? But it is no fault. It's absolutely fine when you stop when the secret is seen, because it's already a big movement for the family. You don't need to go further. That goes for every single constellation you're facilitating later on. If you found something, if there's one step done, one step, it's already fine. Yeah, you can break it up there because the movement will continue, will continue, will continue. Yeah, you do not need to find the happy ending. Remember that. You don't need to find an end scene. You will eventually more and more experience, and over time it will come and come and come more, but you don't have to. The movement is already in place. Probably not all the way, but enough for the client. Yeah. In this situation. So trust that. Hmm? And if you feel, if you are happy, you saw that it is actually a family secret, and you place the secret there, and there is the movement, then take that with you, and don't try to do more, reveal more in the family constellation that is then getting you into trouble. Yeah. So remember, you can break up, and you should break up a constellation at any point in time when you think that's enough now. And it's also an information from the field in the end, right? So you are not alone there. It will be revealed. Yeah. Okay. Any other questions?
I wanted to ask you about the kind of black magic type thing.
Mm-hmm.
And did you say that we'll come back to that in the next
Yes.
one?
Yes.
Okay.
Module
Thank you.
4. Mm-hmm. So remember, when we talk about that, then you remember how a family secret looks like, yeah? And then when we're talking about spells, then it can look quite similar. Hmm? Good. Okay. Right, then I will stop sharing that one. And let's just talk about module 3. Tell me something. that you have learned that stuck with you in the last 3 days? Everyone has a go. You can be first or last, whatever you choose. Saida.
Biggest learning that has happened in a long time actually is the realization, like I've been wondering, how do I deal with this thing where, like, if I'm in a learning environment, I have a desire, I'm always trying to manage like being a student and not trying to step into a different role.
You
And I
want to
think
stay
that
absorbing.
yeah, and the thing about like what happened yesterday or the day before, whenever it was for me, was really, really interesting in terms of realizing everything happens for a reason. Every kind of like conversation, every exercise around a constellation, there is a learning in there for everybody that is involved. And it's kind of having that approach for me was very, very insightful. So that was one thing. And I think that the other piece is from like the last few days, the bit on the what you shared today about the dark night of the soul. I really like that because I've sat in that space for a long time recently, and I think you've given tools how to get out of it, which is nice.
Right.
And I suppose the other thing is just even like yesterday's discussion, I found a little bit overwhelming, but I also think it's helpful to know that I'm not just doing the work for me. So it feels as if this module is kind of like the pivot in some ways into like doing your own work, but also then looking at how you can expand its impacts. So thank you, Maya. I just want, it's been very I've still got lots to unpack, but it's been really profound for me the last few days.
Wonderful. I'm glad you have so much out of it. Thank you for sharing, Saida. And yes, the shifts are coming. Yeah, the shifts are coming, and it's great if you let them into your life and embrace them. Right, right. Wonderful. Who's
So
next?
yes,
Eva?
yeah. So it's now that this module we're moving a little bit on focusing on the facilitator role rather than on this field and the orders and like the knowledge of the constellation itself constellating. It's of course interesting part because, as you said, we cannot give something that we don't have. So we should start working on ourselves before we start helping others, and paying attention more to our lifestyles and what we choose to bring into our lives will decide how much beneficial or how much help we can offer others later. So yeah, I find it really interesting, and also the troubleshooting part is nice, and learning new terminologies, the lactoses, because I was like, okay, lactoses, I know lactoses, but lactoses is new.
Lactoses. Yeah, very good. Yeah. Oh, thank you for sharing. That's
Type of
wonderful.
type
Yeah.
developing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wonderful. Yeah. Wonderful. Thank you. Who's next? Nafjoti?
Yeah. Okay. Okay. Yeah. Yeah. So for me, the biggest thing that's dawning is that all of us are functioning out of our morphogenetic field at all times in our life. The blocks that exist are controlling our interactions to a very large extent.
Yeah.
And so then the significance of this work you know, it becomes more and more clearer to me every day. So through the exercises, through our conversations, you realize, oh my gosh, you know, this is speaking to me, or I was speaking to myself here, not to the other person, and so on. So, so that is one, and second, yeah, the dark night of the soul. Yeah, I've been there since my teen years and not been able to come out. So
So
I
long.
have had improvement, but I've not had it. Yeah, very long, very long. I have gone to millions of therapists and doctors and homeopaths, and I mean, I've learned everything. I have a master's in psychology. I literally have that qualification, and I have many other therapeutic modalities that I've learned. But I learned everything so that I could help myself, and so there's been improvement, but there's not been a breakthrough. I'm still in that. So, but yeah, you give me hope.
Good.
Really.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
Thank you for sharing, Nafruti. And Eva.
Yeah, so I was just thinking about two things during those days. The first one is that when we start to realize that the life we live is our chance in somehow, as you mentioned, like lifestyle choices, I don't know, like friends, what we choose, and things going on. When you start to realize that you can choose the life you want to live, more or less, then it's sometimes hard because it's much easier to stick with the things you have done like years and your parents did years ago. For example, when I started to realize that I can't eat the meat, what I bought and buy in supermarket. So again, I need to do things in different ways. So I need to try to solve where I will buy it. Do I need it? Do I need to choose another thing? So it's at the beginning, it's hard, but it makes the life much better. You just at the beginning want to stick with the things you did before. And when you realize that you can choose, it makes a really, really big relief. And it changes the life. Just the thing at the beginning, it's pretty hard. So that was the one thing that we want to stick with the things we have done. And the other was that even if we are not like speaking directly about some things in here, but maybe Saida mentioned something, maybe Heb or Najati mentioned something, after a couple of hours or couple of days, pretty interesting things start to happen. For example, yesterday when we did the exercise, or no, it was the day before, about what is about it. Heba mentioned that she was think that it's something about my father, and it just go away. But yesterday, somehow after our this thing, it blows in my head like tons of things, and I started to realize that during those days a lot of happens, and I'm so grateful that I have you and Saida, Heb and Najati, that each of you brings something in my life, and it's a huge value that we have a reason why we are here, like not, I don't know, Adele or Amanda or like random people, that we are in here, and it's like such a big value.
That's true. That's also part of the morphogenetic field, to give you the right companions on your way, on your path. You are not alone. Remember that. You can also stay connected via the Facebook app, the WhatsApp, or do your own little group or whatever, wherever you can practice with each other online, do exercises. Use this tool. It's beautiful. It's this connection to have, and to be aware that you are, for this time being, bound together, and that you can help each other. Wonderful. Right. So what's next is there are more events coming up. Before we see we have module 4, I'm pretty sure there's a practice workshop please look it up on the training calendar. There is certainly an open workshop. Don't know the times yet. Hope they are more or less suitable in your time zones. And now you can actually practice facilitating, right? So in the next practice, you don't have to immediately because we have more coming up, but take the chance. I don't know how many people coming. The practice workshops are normally not very big, and you will have the chance to have a go to facilitate and constellate. So that's very valuable time. Yeah, please make it a priority in your busy calendars or schedules and focus on the practice workshops. They are really, really bringing everything together that you have heard. Okay, so
I have a question.
Yeah.
Yeah. So can we practice with people around us? Just maybe you have a partner and you do
Yes.
a little something with
Of
them.
course you can. Yes, but don't overdo it. To do it with a light heart. Yeah. Yeah. Tell them, let me try something with you. Yeah. Right. Something really simple. So you don't feel overwhelmed. Yeah. Okay. Good. Great. Okay. 9 o'clock, 9 p.m. here. It will be earlier in your time because New Zealand is always the first to see the sun in this world. It was lovely to spend the time with you. Thank you, everyone. And I see you in our next event. And the video recordings will be most likely up within a week. Yeah? Okay. Bye.